the stillness of the river, and at the same time, everything moving. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to day 9 of transparency, sharing with you all. Super fresh out here. Beautiful. Such a beautiful morning. Waking up on the river. Nature. So, what's alive in me today? And I woke up in a nice way and had some stomach. You might have heard on another video I said I was having a little bit of trouble with my stomach, and so I do enemas. I don't know if you've heard of enemas. An enema bag, public enema #1, and I did an enema. And if you don't do enemas, wow, I recommend them. They're amazing for just cleaning and clearing and cleansing. So I did my enema and had some food and read some inspirational words on a book that was given to me yesterday from beautiful Sarah. And then I was just sat here pondering about the messages that have been coming to me, and I had a beautiful message from a woman who sent me, I'd watched one of these videos, and actually these messages are quite interesting because it's like when you hear from somebody about what they're going through and they feel safe to share what's really going on for them, this is something very, very profound in that. And so I think that's a testament of transparent communication. Is that we all have a voice, we all have something that we want to share. Doesn't have to be on video, doesn't have to be, putting it out there for the wider world audience, but it can be just for your family, just for your loved ones, just in your relationship. But when we hold in what it is that we want to express, it really does, does become toxic. Loving these sounds. Wow, you can see that bird coming across the water. I think you can. Yeah, here it comes. Look, stealth. I love watching them when they go across the river like that. Yeah, so what was really just alive in me as well yesterday and today, and being in this time and the messages that I've been getting around festive season and this coming together with families and people, when they come together with families and sometimes past friends and so on, they really don't know how to act in the new way or express themselves in a new way, because when we go into these environments, these sort of old environments, we take on old behaviors and old actions. So it's happened to me before. I've met many times actually in along this path, is that I'd meet up with somebody who I knew, who I used to do drugs with, or I used to go out in a different sort of hedonistic world, and my voice is different, and I'd find myself just adopting old behaviors and actions based on the environment I was now in and the people that I was with, because they also want you to be like that still in essence, and you drop into a familiar state of being. And this happens a lot of times for people after they come on the retreat. They come on the retreat with us, have 7 days with us, which is amazing. See what maybe wants to be rewired and wants to be changed and wants to be modified or adapted so that they're more in tune to who they really want to be. And they go back into their environments, either the workplace or the home or the town or wherever it is, and then boom, of course those old habits want to come back. So that was very much present these past few days. Not for me, I'm in a different environment, but definitely from the people that have been sending me messages. And just really just highlighting the power of transparent communication and adopting the ability to hold your own safe space, to be able to like really just say to people, even the loved ones, even people you've known in the past, it's just to express to them that you've changed now, and that you'd like to communicate differently, or you'd like to close your eyes and share, or you'd like to share with them what's changed for you, you know, and so that they can understand you a bit more, and then you can actually check in with them and listen to them and understand maybe how they've changed, because we also go back into those environments and hold our parents in the same space, or hold our, you know, our siblings or anybody else in that environment. We hold them in the same space too. We're doing it too, because we think we've changed and they haven't, and we don't know that if we haven't been with them for a whole year or longer. We don't know what's been going on in their life. They might have been having some profound changes as well. It might not look like it, but they might have been, because change is constant, and we all instinctively avoid it, but change is constant. So people are always changing, but when we don't see each other as from the first time, so for example, me and Dara, and you know, this is a practice for me, and it does not work every time. It's a rewiring. But I want to wake up each morning anew. I want to wake up and be like the minute I meet the people that are in my environment, like seeing them for the first time. How can I meet everybody as if I'm just seeing them for the first time? Because ultimately I am. It's only my projective thoughts that tell me that, oh, I know this person, I know what they're about, or, you know, play out similar patterns. The birds are dancing. They might actually be fighting. You know, the other morning I came out here and I was watching this bird. I thought they were playing, and I was so joyous to watch them. And they were like, and I looked a bit closer, again, all about perspective. And this blackbird and this magpie were attacking this little baby bird. And then I watched, and then this bird dropped into the river and just stayed there under the water. And I thought, wow, what's it done? It's like drowning itself or something. It was trying to hide. And then this blackbird circled and then went down and then plucked it in the water. And then I saw them go down a bit further down the river, and they were looked like they were, you know, behind the bank. And then I sort of, it passed. I just thought they were, you know, fighting. I didn't know what happened. And then Maya and Dara were down by the river, and they came in later that day and said, oh, it was a completely dead bird, just ripped apart. It looked like it had been attacked just down on the corner. And they basically just butchered this little bird. So it just goes to show, again, like, perspective, huh? It's all about perspective. How I perceive things and how anybody else perceives things, you know, is so different based on our own experiences and our own thoughts and beliefs. So yeah, life is about perspective, big time. And sometimes we can't, it's going back to the family thing or the siblings or the environments that we're in, we can't expect everybody to really get us and understand our perspective if we're not willing to show up with them and share with them and spend the time, you know, even though time's an illusion on many accounts. It's just to spend those moments, those real authentic moments with those people, if we want to. We don't have to, but to, like, you know, bring them into our perspective, not to change them, but just so that then, you know if there's coherence, you know if there's alignment, you know if there's resonance, and if there's not, that's okay. Like, we can, you know, there's a beautiful thing that Don Miguel Ruiz says in one of his books, I believe it's The Four Agreements, or maybe Mastery of Love, and like, each of us, you know, we are our own dream makers, and we're creating our own dream, and that everyone's in their own dream, and to honor everybody in their dream, and doesn't mean you have to believe it, doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but just to honor them in their dream, in their space, and just love them still from that space, you know, find that compassion and empathy and awareness to just see them where they are and love them from that space. And that other beautiful saying of that, you know, if you can't love the person the way they are, then, you know, let them go and just let them, you know, resonate and attract themselves and the people that they will resonate with, to love and accept them and acknowledge them in the way that they are. And it doesn't have to be the way we want it, you know. Our little selves, that part of the ego that, you know, wants to be right all the time, that part of the ego that wants it the way we want it all the time, that part of the ego, you know, constantly wants to judge. So I love what Krishnamurti says, where it's, you know, can we observe, you know, without judgment? That's the greatest form of awareness, is like, you know, observation, finding a distinction between observation and judging, you know, when you're condemning somebody or you're just observing what's actually happening, and then make a, you know, a conscious decision, an intelligent decision from what you're observing, rather than just judging and condemning. And one of the things we always try to do is just really just see everybody in their highest potential, in their highest light, in their, you know, most enriched space. And this is not always easy, because we've been conditioned in the old, you know, the human condition of fear and judgment and competition and expectation and all of those things that I spoke about on the other video around, you know, when we're in those dense, diminishing thought patterns in what I call is also called the pain body. Then of course it's hard to see, you know, it's hard to see people in their light, because we're not even seeing ourselves in our own, you know, in our own greatness, in our own spaciousness. So we're then caught in the dense frequency of those masks and personas that we uphold and have to justify and you know, and try to bring other people into them to get us, so that, you know, so that we feel more acknowledged and included. And, you know, when that all drops away, you know, you're not there to prove anything to anybody. You can just show up and say, you know, this is where I'm at, and then be more neutral. So, yeah, that's what's alive in me today. And then, wow. Yeah, what else? There was something about death as well that was coming up for me quite a lot this morning, because, you know, this time of the year as well, you know, when sort of seasons change, there's always like that opportunity that, you know, we want to acknowledge death and honor death more. You know, the more that we embrace death, the more that we can really engage with the life as well, because it's like they're not separate. And so a few things happened. Like, so one friend, Suze, called me up and told me about death, and she was talking about, you know, just reiterating how we have to die to our behaviours and die to our actions, and that, you know, and that she was saying about happiness being, like, you know, you have to cultivate it, you know. It's like when we've been conditioned to be unhappy or judge ourselves and put ourselves down, and that, you know, that limiting voice, that pesky voice comes in and starts telling us a whole heap of crap from unworthiness and lack and so on, is that you've got to, you know, you really have to say, hey, no, I die to that now. That's not welcome in my space. So there's a death that has to happen to our behaviours and our thought patterns and our, you know, and that's the rewiring process. Wow, just 5 huge swans over in the distance. I don't think you can see them. Can you see them? Just cruising. You know, this is another reason why I love being in nature so much, because it's always moving and changing, and it's just such a spectacle, you know. Often we want to crystallize it and take pictures of it, but everywhere I look, wherever I am actually, it's like it's just a beautiful, majestic, mysterious spectacle taking place when we open our eyes and really see, you know, see beyond the seeing. And just look at what you're a part of and how it's moving in the sky. And the sky this morning was phenomenal. I think I took a little clip I put on the beginning or the end of this video. So yeah, so just to maybe just sort of close this video around death in a beautiful way. So then my friend, we was at our friend's last night, Dara's sister-in-law and brother, and, you know, their grandpa, you know, is close to passing over, and then I get a message from my other friend whose father died 2 days ago, right? So, you know, there's this sort of sense that, you know, like death is with us all the time, yet we don't. This is just my opinion, yeah? It's just like, and opinions are like ourselves, as you know, everyone's got one. But I noticed that, I speak from myself, and then I notice how I've been in certain situations around death. And then I notice how, like, with death, in my experience so far, so many people don't know how to embrace death. And, like, And when it comes and it's really closer, because it's around us all the time, right? Every single moment it's around us. A lot of the time we're avoiding death, but when we're really able to see it and witness it and embrace it, and death isn't the elephant in the room, meaning that, you know, if somebody's dying or they're sick or they're passing over or whatever, it's like, how can we just continually be with them in that death, in that moment, in that space, and just, you know, open to that and be with them in love and share with them and support them and make them feel as loved and as acknowledged as possible, and sort of get ourselves out of the way. You know, often I find with death, in what I've, you know, seen myself and witnessed in, you know, going to funerals and the conversations around it, is that we still have our own little selves so vested in the other person's experience, like, you know, how it's affecting us and like, you know, how we've got to deal with it and how, you know, our life changes and all that jazz, and like, rather than just like getting ourselves completely out of the way and just unconditionally loving. And I think that's more like how parents are often, or can be, when we talk about how they just unconditionally love, and to some degree, I mean, using the word sacrifice sounds, let's say, slightly negative, but like, you know, they give themselves fully. Yeah, can you hear I'm getting super cold out here in my voice? So that was really rich in me yesterday, the whole thing around, death. So I've got this beautiful book, and I thought I'd read this as well, if it came in, but a lot of people have been talking about, you know, wanting to be their greatest selves, wanting to shine bright, wanting to communicate truthfully and express themselves fully, and then feeling how they're just not doing that because of old behaviour patterns, as we've spoken about. So, and then I've picked up this morning when I was on the toilet reading. Negative intentions. If my strength intimidates you, I hope you realise that's a weakness of yours. If my strength doesn't impress you, I hope you never see my weaknesses. Because if you can't be happy to see me at my best, in my strength, you most likely will then be happy to see me at my worst, in my weaknesses. So I like that. I like that this morning. Because, yeah, it just resonated with me in terms of how we always see what's not working, or we always look at people and look at their flaws and look at the things that they've not done, or look at how they are acting, and it's like it's not resonating, or they could be better, or they could be more, or they could do more, rather than just seeing them where they are, witnessing them, and then supporting them with encouragement, with maybe just silence, with listening, but not judging them, but seeing them in their greatness, yeah? And at the same time, allowing them to be in whatever state they're in. So if they're in a state that seems to be weak to them, or seems to be weak to you, or is just to love them anyway. They're just a magnificent expression of life force. So just to love them anyway. Yeah, this is my practice. I guess that's the compassion and the empathy that's required if we want to see them beyond their limited states of thinking and feeling and acting. That is the deep-rooted, indoctrinated, conditioned state. And if we want to transcend that, we can only transcend it within ourselves and then share that with others. Thank you for listening. My hands are freezing. I'm going to go wherever you are in the world. Hoping you're finding that space within yourself to just ponder, feel, and express. Ciao.